Can I be honest? I think you're wrong. Once there's rice and chicken all over the locker room, you've hit probably the peak of there being a problem in the locker room. You can't be like, sure, I almost fought the manager. That sure, I flipped over everyone's dinner, but the real problem is the snitch.
We have to start with
What a ridiculous start already.
Atlanta United.
Bro.
Because this is
I'm
where
gonna flip this fucking thing.
this is where the news goes. You want stats or recaps for games.
There's places for that. This ain't it.
This ain't it.
This ain't it.
We have to talk about Atlanta United because they're having a rough go. This year has not been great. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, and then the players that are available are not really bringing
Injuries
it.
to their egos.
That's right. They're not really bringing it on the pitch. A lot of losses. They're not mathematically out, but you can see that from the 2017-2018 Atlanta United. This is a very different team. It looks very, very different, but you can tell that the locker room, something's up. Because
it's not just that. I don't know. Maybe I've just noticed this, but have you noticed that there's a little bit less of a feverish fan reaction to Atlanta United? Have you noticed that the overwhelming Atlanta fan base that was there in 2018 really ain't hitting?
I mean, they're not getting what they initially were introduced.
But I'm saying,
with,
even when they weren't,
they got Atlanta got catfish. You know what I mean? The fans did. The fans did.
They're like, oh, we're gonna have these amazing young South Americans. Mm-hmm. We're never gonna buy people for a lot of money and have them not pan out.
And no, this is not the team that they initially when they bought season tickets.
Nah,
bro, they got bamboozled.
Bro, they got hoodwinked.
Led astray.
Oh no, they got finessed.
Because and I think when those first 2 years, obviously they won MLS Cup in their second year.
But in the first year they didn't win, and it was just
the intensity. Everybody.
Everything was making you hot. You know. Oh, look at the way she eats. It's so cute. You know, I love the way her nose flares when she yells at me. And then now it's like, could she stop yelling? And also, could you stop eating that way?
So, and this is where we are because
the honeymoon's over.
Exactly. You have two. They get rid of two coaches. Two or three.
Tata left. Frank De Boer fired.
And then Gabriel Heinze.
Right, fired.
And then now Gonzalo Pineda is now.
Right. And he didn't get fired. But when a relationship starts to go bad, what in our culture, what happens?
you get that LatinoTemperament.com. Go to LatinoTemperament.com, folks.
Please do, especially if you want to join our Patreon. But what happens, right? What happens when you start arguing, especially in our culture? Stereotypically, what happens? Somebody throws a plate of food. Well, let me tell you something. The stereotype done showed up to Atlanta.
Because there was an article in The Athletic.
Which has been confirmed.
Right. And that Josef Martinez was upset after, I forgot which match.
This was in Portland.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. So after the match in Portland, they're in the away locker room. I guess there's some catered food in the locker room. And Josef Martinez is so upset.
Furious at the catered food.
He started on the bench. He started on the bench, and they lost 1-0.
Passionate dude. Remember when he ripped off all the tape on his shin guards, and he just left it on the pitch years ago? Remember that? Because he got subbed early.
Yeah, dude.
I believe in that match he was on his way to a hat trick, and he ended up sticking with a brace.
And that's what...
And he let it be known.
That's right. Because
thank God his shin pads were made of arroz con pollo.
Because yes,
there'd be rice everywhere.
Because the catering table had rice and chicken, arroz con pollo.
We were able to do our own research.
Okay.
This is an exclusive. It might have been in the article. We didn't read the article. But I was able to confirm that it was in fact rice and chicken. But what it was not was arroz con pollo.
Ooh.
This was white rice or brown rice and some regular ass chicken.
Just what's the difference? What's the difference?
You've had.
Are you meaning like
white people rice and chicken?
Got it.
There's a difference between rice and chicken and arroz con pollo.
It wasn't made within abuela's hands.
There was no saffron in it. It wasn't cooked with a little bit of beer in it. There was no seasoning in it. There might have been raisins in the goddamn rice. What I'm trying to say is this was rice and chicken. This wasn't arroz con pollo.
And this was the...
And that is the big difference.
And this was the quote from here in the article. I'll read just a little bit of the beginning of it. It just said, at the time, Pineda was inside a room that's reserved for coaches, but following the commotion, Pineda stepped into the players' locker room and confronted Martinez. According to several sources, Martinez and Pineda had to be physically separated, with one source adding, it went downhill from there. And then it continues on, which says, quote, Josef Martinez just knocks it all over, and there's chicken and rice all over the locker room, said a source who witnessed the incident, which you love. We're pretty sure who the source might be. It's it's either a player or somebody on the staff. And
obviously.
But it's weird to be like, I can't say who it is. But it's like, we sort of know. We can deduce who is the leak.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
How can you figure out which player or staff member it was?
The one of probably 25 to 30 people in that room?
What if you were a dictator? No, hold on.
Wouldn't you be upset?
Hold on. If you were a leader of a country and you found out one of your 25 spies was leaking information, was a double spy, what'd you do? Just gun them all down?
No, I'm not saying, but it should be fairly easy to find out. It's interesting how this
if
even
you
got...
have 25 suspects for a crime, that's a lot of suspects.
So the problem here is that the fact that this got out at all suggests that there's even more issues within the locker room. That's what I'm saying.
Can I be honest? I think you're wrong. Once there's rice and chicken all over the locker room, you've hit probably the peak of there being a problem in the locker room. You can't be like, sure, I almost fought the manager. That sure, I flipped over everyone's dinner, but the real problem is the snitch.
Right, yes. Yeah, there's graver problems than the one I'm mentioning. But I'm just saying, it's just within the article, it's just a funny thing to see. Regardless, this is, but
look, you and I are in particular probably the two most qualified in the soccer sphere, in the football world.
That's right. Extra time ain't spending time.
They ain't ready for this.
They
didn't spill hummus. This isn't their avenue. They didn't spill the beans before it got on the toast. Sit down, football rambling the kickoff. They didn't spill something southern. Okay. So not your moment, Taylor Rockwell.
Joseph flipped his table and spilled that food in particular because he was like, you know what? I'm looking out for the homies, the Cooligans.
Right. And also, if rice and chicken is gonna get flipped, and someone is almost gonna get fought, I would expect that you and I are the first two that are called, or at least that we're the first two that are tagged, and that is what happened.
Right.
So you and I are qualified to talk about this. What is the next step beyond someone flipping a plate of rice? That is, you do a very funny joke. Just one. You do a very funny joke about you bringing a lady, right, a white girl, to like the middle of Dominican Republic.
Very much
and
so.
how you had to figure out how to explain to your family that this girl don't eat rice. Very funny joke. We understand how important rice is to our culture. Bruh, when you flip, you could fight your friend. And y'all could figure it out. You could physically fight your homie.
Yeah.
And afterwards, bloody and everything, y'all put your arms around each other and be like, damn, bro, you really got me with that hook. But if you were to flip over your friend's plate of
Santa? You ruined Santa?
El almuerzo? If you flip over...
After playing, 90 minutes, I'm pretty tired. I'm famished even,
Bro, let me tell you something. You could have fought your friend, and then you guys sit down and get a chimi from the chimi truck. And if you slap that out of his hand, there's no coming back. There may not be a way to mend the situation once the plate of rice gets flipped. That is more than physical altercation. I think that is the top level of disrespect.
That's right. I'm sure Gonzalo Pineda was just like, I mean, yes.
You saw what he did.
Yes, you swung at me.
But
the chicken and the arroz con pollo.
But let's yeah, sure, you took a swing, but let's talk about what's really disrespectful. I'm not even kidding. Is there something more disrespectful than that?
I mean,
it's probably slapping someone with money in the face.
Or spitting in someone's face. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Kicking the food over might be worse.
Kicking food over is worse than spitting.
Yeah, because you could spit on someone before you fight them and still be cool. Flipping someone's food over, I'm not even as a big dude, just as a Latino.
There's a difference between
flipping rice over. That's gotta be.
There's a difference between flipping someone's plate over and then the whole table. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a little bit more. To me, it's more disrespectful
to just flip a plate.
The plate.
You might be right. But that was everyone's plate.
It was sort of. They're right. It was like, yo, I didn't even get it. Like, you didn't even let me get some, bro.
Nobody eats. That is a wildly disrespectful. I want all of y'all to be as mad as I am, and I don't care if it's at me. I don't think there's a way back from this.
He got 1 game suspension.
Yeah, but this now says to the management and the ownership, it's either me or the coach.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, so what I've heard, and
I think it might be Joseph's time, dude.
And that is what would be super disappointing, because the dude has a mural in Atlanta. He wants to retire an Atlanta United player. We all know this.
He might. He might ever after this.
But it's starting to seem like, and I think they mentioned this in the article as well, that Joseph is a fiery player, and he has been a bit of a problem for every coach that has been at Atlanta United. Even Tata Martino said the same thing.
It hasn't been a problem for Tata Martino.
No, but I mean, he's been successful on the field for Tata, but in general, he is a opinionated player, and he's very passionate, and he wants to succeed. I think if Atlanta United is winning and he flips the table, it's like, all right, well, we're still winning, Joseph. I don't know what you're so upset about. You know what I mean? I think it's not as big of a deal because they're surrounded by so much success. So, and I think that's what the first 2 years were. It was just so much success, and we could look past some attitude issues here and there. But this is, look, in the court of public opinion, Joseph is winning. Everybody's like, yo, I'm sticking with Joseph. Something must be up with Atlanta United. People are mad at Carlos Bocanegra. They don't like how the roster is set up, and that's why they feel it's leading to all these failures.
Sure. Okay. The fans are going to be with the striker that tells them how much he loves them and is a bit of a catalyst for a lot of the fan love that happens in Atlanta. But put yourself in the shoes of a front office employee. Mm-hmm. You have this player that, while beloved in the city, is how old is he now? 32? 31?
I don't even think he's 30.
No, he's got to be up there.
How old is Josef Martinez? Let's find out.
You have a player that is getting up there in age, is injured.
29.
He's 29. Okay.
He's going to be 30 next year.
I wasn't too far. Mm-hmm. He's getting to the point of his career where I'm not going to say he's done, but he's getting to the point of his career where now you're going to start to see diminishing returns.
And he's just coming off an ACL injury.
Injuries are starting to mount up. And he's been a bit of a point of contention for a lot of the managers that have been, for, as you said, every manager that's been there.
Yeah.
So it would be safe to assume he's going to be a point of contention moving forward for the next manager. And he's going to continue to be hard to please. I know you Atlanta fans have already started your angry emails. I get it, but please hear me out. Is it not safe to say that now is the time to start over? The team that won in 2018 no longer exists. Miggy gone.
Mm-hmm. Gressel gone.
LGP gone.
Guzan injured.
Is it not safe to say that as a unit was a successful unit along with Tata Martino?
Yeah, and I think most people agree with that. And
so then is it not time to move on?
Well, I think
from the Josef Martinez experiment.
Before Joseph got injured, I would say no. After the injury and he's had a year, he's Clearly not the same player. Will he ever be? I do not know. I still think he can be productive for Orlando United, and I still think he's one of the better. I'm not going to say one of the better strikers in the league because he's clearly not that, but he
has the opportunity to be that.
I think
if
so.
He were able to stay healthy and he was placed in a system that gave him the benefit of.
It's hard to say. Like, would he have been better last year?
But if you were tasked with taking over this team tomorrow, you're not the manager. You're the director of football, the chief soccer officer, whatever.
Right.
Would you not say to yourself, I think we need to move on? Because the next manager you bring in, if Pineda decides he doesn't want to be a part of this shit show anymore,
sure,
he's going to be a problem again.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I still don't feel like Josef Martinez is the biggest problem with Atlanta United.
I'm not asking that.
Yeah. So,
but if you could get value from him on the market, which you probably could from a South American club or possibly another MLS club, would probably pay you a ton of whatever TAM, whatever it is they're using to trade today, tomorrow. Would it not behoove you to go out and find a young striker that is going to cause less of a headache? Knowing there's an opportunity that they may not be.
Look, if I'm running a team and knowing what I know
I'm
about
asking you,
Josef Martinez, I would still give Josef, he's shown enough to me to give him more opportunities. And I frankly don't feel I have anything truly much better behind him. So then another year. I think another year at Atlanta is fair.
I think you move on.
Okay.
I think unless you have no other prospects, I think you move on. And this has nothing to do against Josef Martinez. He clearly loves Atlanta. It would be great for him to finish his career in Atlanta. But if there's now problems, the question becomes manager or player. I know y'all probably don't want to keep that manager, but you have to start asking yourself, is it smart to keep this player? Maybe you do in the interim until you can find a proper replacement. But maybe it's time to say, you know what? We don't have the tools to put the players in place around him that allow him to be the best that he possibly can be. And while his name still rings within MLS, you could probably move him to another club that needs a player of his ilk. And then you can sort of gain the benefit from that and use that to go sign yourself another player or give yourself the budget allocation to sign a big name player that you could kind of start from scratch.